Hello, this is Eunsu Kang. I'm here to present my team's work, Shin'm Project Series, which is an interactive space installation that also works as an interactive dance performance. My team consists of myself, media artist, and Donald Craig, a software developer and a music composer, and Diana Garcia-snyder, a choreographer and a dancer. Our world has matter that our bodies can penetrate through, and matter that we cannot. Living in this world, our bodies constantly draw lines, spots, and shapes and build a relationship with the space to move through and around this matter. Carefully observing those drawings that our bodies create with the space, we might ask ourselves, can you call our relationship with the space a dance? Our team seeks to explore how we communicate with the space, how we connect into it, and how we and the space reshape each other. Our team's first work was Pupa, a multimedia dance concert. The dancers wore rather uncomfortable costumes, having embedded multimedia devices, including a projector, small speakers, and a small camera. Their struggle and frustration with being imprisoned by the limits of those costumes was at the beginning enormous. The dancer you are looking at right now is wearing a costume having a projector embedded in, so she cannot move her legs, besides moving across the stage as if floating around. In the beginning, she was very frustrated, but in the end, she named her projector and she was sad to let go of it as if it was a part of her body. Our team's goal is to make an interactive space not only for dancers, but also for the general audience member who turns into the participant upon walking into the interactive space. Thus, we experimented with what we call the human space interface in two different ways. First, let them wear a flexible wearable jacket interface, which we did with the Shin'm project in 2009. Second, let them avoid wearing a device by using the Kinect sensor, which we did with the Shin'm 2.0 in 2011. The title Shin'm means body, Shin, and sound, in Korean. This project was focused on the sound-space interaction at the beginning and expanded into an audio-visual system having more dynamic visual interactions. Its initial concept was that the body wears its sound body, extends its limbs into the space as they move, and over time eventually fills the space like a sound web, like accumulated traces of the extended limbs of the sound body. This concept has evolved into the body that entangles with the space and reshapes as the space reshapes, a metamorphosis of the body when it's perceptually merged with the space. For the first Shin'm project to create the sound body, we used the ambisonic spatial sound technology. Ambisonic sound technology allows you to draw sound on anywhere of the surface of a sound sphere. To be able to draw lines through the space, we added two small speakers in the center, which were embedded into the jacket interface hung in the middle of the room, in conjunction with a surround sound system consisting of 6 speakers mounted on the walls. If the person is standing in the center of the space, and the person moves arms away from the body, the sound appears to fly away into space. There are two interfaces used in the Shin'm project. A wireless jacket interface as a costume for the dancer, and a wired jacket interface for both the dancer and the participant. The Shin'm project progresses over 3 stages. First, the dancer appears in the middle of the audience waiting outside of the room where the interactive space is installed. The audience activates the dancer by pushing, touching, blowing air, and brings her to the room of the interactive space. The second stage is the dancer's performance of interacting with the space. At the third stage, the audience becomes the participant and they interact with the space by themselves. The dancer wears a wireless jacket interface at the first stage of the performance, a black jacket having two LED light sources, and a hat having an embedded Bluetooth speaker. The Bluetooth speaker projects the default sound of the interactive space when the dancer is activated by the audience participant. Two LED light sources on the wireless jacket interface let the interactive space react to her movements once she jumps into the room. The wired jacket interface in the room is hung from the ceiling by the thin latex tube, which allow anyone to easily drag the wired jacket interface to the end of the room. The wired jacket interface is made out of lycra fabric so that it can easily fit most people. The Shin'm project application is written in open frameworks and uses camera vision to sense two bright LEDs. These LEDs are attached near the palms of the jacket interface sleeves. The dancer or the participant wears the jacket interface and their locations and arm movements are calculated by the location and distance between the two LED lights. In the first Shin'm project, the dancer was attached to cables that limited the working area and restrained the dancer's mobility. In terms of the creation of dance movement, this apparent weakness of the Shin'm project interface was at the same time the strength of the choreography because this challenge sets clear physical limits and boundaries on the body of the dancer. These boundaries, which limited the movement of the dancer in the space, provided clear kinesthetic instructions to the choreographer and created a solid structure for movement. The wired jacket installed inside the room became the focus of attention for the performance, making the performance more palpable and tangible. The dancer sometimes pushed the elasticity of the jacket interface to the limit by moving further from the center of the room. This attempt created a moment of great tension and of relief when the dancer is dragged back to the center. In one of those moments, the dancer also used the LEDs as a means to undermine the limits of the dance. She flashed them to the audience and revealed their faces with the light. This moment brought the audience into the dance and expanded the boundary of it. When the dancer was running clockwise and entangled herself with cables, it also created a tension that was released by running counterclockwise, quickly unwinding the cables. At the end of the dance, in a last tense dramatic gesture, she held the cables stretched out to their limit and paused, waiting for the cables to snap back, pulling the jacket off and setting herself free. Shin'm too has inherited the nebula bubbles seen as the bright particles. It represents a circulating view from the micro to macro level of our universe and its fluidity. This fluid space of Shin'm 2 is filled with nebula bubbles constantly circulating through a black hole in the center. Shin'm 2 is a GLUT application written in C++. It uses the Kinect sensor and captures its depth map to detect the participant's shape and movements. The location of the Kinect sensor needs to be carefully considered based on the desired detection range and any possible obstacles near the sensor. The Kinect sensor was looking down diagonally from the ceiling, so both vertical and horizontal movement of the person affects its responses. We kept the sound space by non-standard arrangement of speakers, with 2 on the floor and 2 mounted on the walls. Simple intensity panning is used for the sound spatialization. In Shin'm 2, the dancer was able to play with full range of speed or tempo and contrasts. In comparison to the first Shin'm project dance situated around the medium level, the limitless space of Shin'm 2 allowed the dancer to explore all 3 levels, low, medium, and high levels, including jumps. She was able to run rapidly without inhibition throughout the performance space. The performances ended with a subtle passage in which she slowly hid behind the blind spot of the Kinect sensor, crouching on the floor in the corner with a cloud of nebula bubbles moving over her skin. The choreographer felt the space became an intimate space of meditation, a place where the dancer can access a deeper sense of herself. Our team intends to continue experimenting with the Kinect sensor to build a human space interface that does not limit the range of human movements or imagination, but with the hope of bringing back the lost tangibility into the relationship between the human and the interactive space by enhancing the perceptual touch in their audiovisual experiences. Thank you.